Welcome to Residential Tech Talks. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, Executive Editor of Residential Tech Today. This week, Dante Walston joins us from Richmond, Virginia, where he is co-founder and CEO of IntegrateU, a new custom integration training center that is home to ProSource Academy and embedded inside the integration firm Livewire. IntegrateU recently announced that it is also now an authorized CEDIA Education Partner. Its courses are designed to enable students to attain industry certifications, including CEDIA's new Cabling and Infrastructure Technician certification. This new relationship will help fast-track students into getting certified soon after graduation. Dante Walston has a diverse retail background and several years in custom integration. So I'm happy to welcome him to the podcast to learn more about his career and current role leading IntegrateU. Dante Walston, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, as always.
Dante, you and I sort of crossed paths at ProSource's fall conference in San Antonio. I was in the audience for a panel discussion that you were on, and prior to that, I'd spoken to your co-founder of IntegrateU, Henry Clifford, who's also CEO of Livewire, and I guess times your boss. He's a regular contributor to Residential Tech Today, and I just respect the heck out of him. He's a great guy, really smart, great writer. But I haven't gotten around to writing about IntegrateU until I saw the press release about CEDIA, and I thought this is the time we need to catch up, finally meet you, learn about your background and why build a training center. So I guess wanted to start with what was the original motivation behind the training center?
The original motivation behind the training center actually spewed from me actually visiting several of our dealers in the area, and sharing the concept of the online university that we originally had started our relationship with ProSource with, and that turned into multiple requests for me to train staff members at other locations. So I just figured there's one me. Why not create a location where we could actually you could send your folks over to train with me personally or my staff, and we could help with the process of onboarding those new technical resources for the CI industry. So that really was the whole reasoning behind launching the actual in-person training academy.
So you're working at Livewire with Henry, operations manager, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And so you're a ProSource, which for those who don't know is a buying group, ProSource member company, and you're then helping develop online training for ProSource as Livewire, or kind of explain to me what that relationship with ProSource was on that online side of it before you got into IntegrateU.
Yeah, absolutely. So just background, a couple of years ago, or I would say several years ago when I came to Livewire, we created a training system for our Livewire employees. We felt like there was a lot of different trainings out there that was available. There was a lot of content material, but there was really no structure for the way that there was no structure for how you would continue that onboarding and development process for our entire staff. So, I kind of came up with this concept of, creating a training plan for our technicians first, and then started looking into the other disciplines within our organization as to, what a career journey will look like for those individuals. So out of that came Livewire University, which was our online platform, which was our tool that we used to train for the theoretical. And we also realized too that there needed to be some kind of practical application to everything that we do. So probably about 3 years ago, went out and shared that concept with ProSource.
Okay.
And ProSource was pretty excited about it. And originally, I just my goal was to just help other companies individually do the same thing that I did at Livewire. And then ProSource and us kind of just partnered together to create ProSource University, and we offer that same concept to the entire industry. Like we're gonna walk you through day 1 to day 365 for that new employee, and walk you through that onboarding process. So out of that out of that that original uh, meeting, we launched ProSource University, which is the online platform that houses all of the content for the training of each of the disciplines within your organization. Um, Also, we were able to do something that we were not able to do inside of Livewire, which actually was to bring in the vendor content as well,
Mm.
all into one single platform. So that way you're not sending your folks all over to these different companies that's out there. Our goal was never to really recreate any training content that was out there. It was really to like structure the training path for a technician or a salesperson or a HR representative, each of the disciplines within your organization. So that's really how the university came about. So
That's great. I've always heard that so many companies, veteran companies, they just don't know how to retain employees who start at a certain level, like, and because giving them, like, what is your goal? You're not going to just stay a technician for the rest of your life. Theoretically, you're going to want to advance through your career. So what does that look like? Where do you go next? To give them that pathway seems like a great solution. So it initially starts with all virtual learning, which obviously with the ProSource thing, with ProSource University, you had a great payoff with that during the early days of the pandemic when everything shut down. You had ProSource offering all this education for folks who they wanted to keep their employees engaged, and they're paying them hopefully, and said, but let's train you up while we can't get on the job site, right? So you had a great opportunity to sort of prove um, the tools there, at that time, correct?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And the model that that we brought to the table was, that like we're going to provide you the content. We're going to also provide you the practical assessments so that there is some type of practical uh, application for the dealers to be able to take back to each of those roles and disciplines within the organization to walk them through how to really certify
Mm.
and make sure someone is able to complete certain tasks within whatever it is they were learning on from the theoretical side. Now also we also help to show them a roadmap of like what like like I'm coming in the door and I want to start out as a technician, but what does that look like after I finish technician level 1? Well,
Hmm.
there's advanced technician levels, and then maybe you go from technician to being a programmer, or maybe you go from being a programmer to a project manager. So kind of just helping them to kind of put together all the current disciplines that are already out there, but show them how to roadmap that
Hmm.
and show them a training path on how to walk a person through. At Livewire, everyone that comes into our door follows the same path. Like whether you're an accountant, whether you're whether you're a salesperson, like the first 90 days, your onboarding track is the same. You're going to come in, you're going to learn about our basic company background, and then we're going to talk to you about our safety protocols, and then we're going to transition into learning some of our technical resource stuff. And we're going to have, depending on which role you're in, how much level of application you have to go through all depends on that level. Whereas a technician is going to go through more, whereas a salesperson may only spend 90 days and cover as much as they can within that 90 days. And then they start working on their sales track, or, HR starts working on their HR track. And we found that this has been very beneficial just because like most folks in our industry, like, yeah, I just remember when I came in the door 7 years ago into the industry, um, of what I saw when a new person came into our industry. Day one was like, hey, you're a worker bee from day
Mm.
one. Like you didn't have any kind of like track to kind of guide you
Yeah.
into the direction that you needed to go. And so like, at least with the model that we've kind of shared with the industry, at least gives you some type of organization to how you're going to onboard and keep those employees engaged throughout their development process and career. Hopefully with your company they'll continue to grow, but if not, they will at least have had a vision of what a good onboarding process looks like for our industry.
And then how does that transition into IntegrateU, or what is IntegrateU versus ProSource University then?
So IntegrateU is actually a company that me and Henry formed, and really my whole goal was to provide, um, educational content and consulting to companies in our industry that may have grown into, it may have had this success story and have grown into this major company, but really never had a process in place for how to onboard, how to keep your employees engaged, and how to continue their development process throughout their journey. So like I created this company just because there was a need out there for the consulting side of helping
Mm.
those companies run through the finish line, getting them started, but helping them throughout their journey. So that's really the Integrate You and ProSource partner to build ProSource Academy. And ProSource Academy and ProSource University, right? But outside of that, like Integrate You is its own separate company
Mm-hmm.
that offers, we create custom learnings for our clients. We do custom, course packaging for them, and then we offer our consulting for anyone in the CI industry.
Okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
then when this announcement comes through with Giles Sutton at CEDIA, what is the CEDIA certification angle on that IntegrateU portion? So you're bringing that into what you can kind of I guess put together for a client. Then if you've got an IntegrateU client, you add
Well,
CEDIA into that, or
yep. So one of the things that we did, we partnered with CEDIA as well when we built out ProSource University
mm,
to give all ProSource members access to the CEDIA content. Traditionally, if you're not a CEDIA member, there's a cost involved with, accessing their content and being a part of CEDIA. Well, we knew that CEDIA was already out there. They had plenty of content that, honestly, we didn't want to have to recreate or do anything additional. If so, like partnering with them was a pretty great idea to bring that to ProSource. And so, the relationship that we have with them is now if you're a ProSource member and you have access to ProSource U, you also have access to CEDIA's content. So our content and CEDIA's content complements each other, right? We
mhm.
have our level one training for a new technician. They have their level one training for technician. They have project management training. We have that as well. So it's not about, who's better. Like actually, when I bring in folks for Livewire, I still have them go through all of our basic learnings for technicians, and then I still have them go through the CIT certification, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so part of this big announcement here really was to take, not only have CEDIA's content be certified as something that, once you complete CEDIA's stuff, you can go get a cert, you can go take their CIT certification and now get that national accreditation for being a cable infrastructure technician. But our courses and our in-person training offers the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so partnering with them allowed our content and our course curriculum to also fall under that umbrella where you can go straight from taking our content, go take the CIT certification and still be certified as a cable infrastructure technician. And, right now that's the first relationship that we worked on, and, sky's the limit for the future. So we'll see.
So it sounds like I originally had kind of thought of IntegrateU as more geared toward entry level training, but you could bring in someone who is a successful I guess maybe a programmer, just to pick or maybe we'll call say project manager, operations
Yep.
manager, project manager from another company that's wanting to make a change, or they move to another city. Let's say they join Livewire. Would you still go through this process as a new employee? It's not just for entry level, correct?
Yep, it's not just for entry level; it's for every employee. Then that's what we, even with the, the companies who have technicians who've been around for a period of time, or maybe it's a couple years or so. What we've asked for those from those companies is to just have even their most experienced folks go through our content and go through the process of following the training track that we've created, just for feedback purposes. Just go through it, make sure that it's great content and material, and that they're getting something out of it. And I can tell you, so far, everyone that's gone through it has all come back and say, I learned something new. Because yes, our stuff that we've created internally at IntegrateU is probably more basic than what you would see from a CEDIA standpoint, right? They've been in the industry a little bit longer, so they go over a lot more content than what we do. But I really wanted to take a pizza delivery guy with no experience and bring them into Livewire and teach them how to be a lead technician within a 12-month period, right? So I took it all the way back to the basics of teaching them. And through that, we've learned that anyone that comes in the industry can roll through that entire same training process just to understand the basics. It's worked for, project managers that have come in with, little to no experience of our industry, but even though they have backgrounds and they have a background in project management, just to be able to see that, it's kind of set them apart from someone who just, comes into the industry and gets thrown directly into the field and is told to figure it out overnight, So.
And are you still able to incorporate that manufacturer-specific training as well with IntegrateU, or is that something only ProSource and that level of relationship can do?
Yes, we are able to do that. In order to access any of our IntegrateU content, you have to be a part of ProSource, right? Same as to access the CEDIA content for free, you have to be a part of ProSource in order to have access to that. So right now, our focus is to just continue to build the ProSource University catalog with the vendor content and just work that into the actual training structure. So, in order for you to be able to have that training structure right now, you would need to join ProSource and be a part of that team, right?
Okay.
But in the future, we haven't really gone down that road yet to see what that looks like in the future.
It's such a big universe within ProSource. It's the biggest buying group, so you've got a lot to work with there to start with. But of course, to be able to just say, hey, anybody that is looking for help here that's not a ProSource member, we can be your consultant with IntegrateU. That would be kind of a nice thing for the industry as well. Well, Dante Walston and I will continue our conversation after the break.
For 25 years, Leon has been dedicated to creating innovative products that mix art with audio and design with technology. Knowing that technology is an integral part of modern interior design, Leon's collection of customizable speakers and technology concealment solutions is designed to deliver both sound and style to any space. From signature soundbars that seamlessly blend in with the display to art and frames that turn your TV into a work of art, Leon's products are built to order and handcrafted just for you to ensure a perfect match every time. Visit www.leonspeakers.com to learn more.
Welcome back. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, and I'm talking with Dante Walston, CEO of IntegrateU. Dante, as I do on these podcasts, when it's the first time I've spoken to someone, I really love to kind of go through a career path or even talk about a little bit about what you were like as a kid. Not to throw you off, I did give you a little warning, but I was curious, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Actually, I wanted to be like some kind of superstar singer, right?
Okay, sure.
It didn't quite work out. My grandfather was a pastor of a church, and
Mm.
I did get to sing in the choir, right?
Yep.
But I was drowned out by the choir. So I figured, there's other ways for me to be famous. So I kind of shifted my career into, wanting to focus on being an actor, right?
Mm.
Which led me to, wanting to understand, or to better my public speaking skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? As a kid, I stuttered pretty badly. So like I had to practice and work with the speaking coach on how to, control the rate of how I was trying to speak in order to improve that skill set. But I just following along, as I become older, or as I, started to get older, I started to look at my grandfather and just look at the fact that he was a pastor, of a church, and, he was public speaking all day long. So I kind of went down that journey. I thought maybe that was my career calling, was to,
Okay.
be some kind of like pastor of a church or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think when you hit your teenage years, and
That's not fun anymore.
that all changes, right?
Right.
So I started DJing in clubs, and I said,
Mm.
oh, this is another way for me to become famous. So, and then after about, at 18, I got my first job working at a company called Finish Line, my first
Sure.
retail job, and I became a store manager right before I turned 19, and the rest is history. I was just a retail manager, but I still had my platform. I was able to, invest in people,
Mm.
help bring people up. And what I realized was, I really enjoyed training and teaching, right? And so I think that that's really what my platform was really about. Like, I wanted to be able to help other people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just, thinking about now as an adult, to like the messaging that my grandfather used to, or the conversations that we used to have, where he's talking about, invest in other folks, and, take your eyes off yourself and put them on other folks. It kind of brought me to where I am today. And I think that's really why I'm excited, because like I've been able to, like, in every company I've worked in, whether it was Finish Line, that was the start of my career, to being a store manager for Best Buy, like I've had the opportunity to invest in other people's lives, but I've still always had this passion around training.
Mm.
And so coming into Livewire and seeing that there was training available, but no structure to it, like it just made it, it made it that much easier, because like Henry said, hey, here's the keys to Livewire. You are now operations manager. You're responsible for, putting processes and procedures and policies in place and helping us grow our company. And I said, great. Well, first thing we need to do is we need to get some training done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I knew I was good at, and that's turned into us growing as a company in so many ways as well. So like, but yeah, so that's what I really want. I think I've definitely know that. I don't necessarily need to be famous, right? but I'm definitely excited about and investing in other people's lives and helping them become as great as they want to become. So.
Well, what a great tribute to your grandfather. When you think about it, to think about moving from all about self and famous, and we all do that. I mean, those of us who, I don't know, not everybody does it, but I'm a shy guy, and I thought I wanted to be famous somehow. I don't know why, but you kind of realize that putting it toward other people is really beneficial to society, and it also makes you feel good. And in the end, hey, you're on the podcast now, so maybe you are famous. I don't know how many people listen, but we'll try.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had a bit of a who's who of retail through your career: Finish Line, Best Buy, even Lowe's for a couple of years.
Yep.
When did you get? What was the step to Livewire? Did Henry discover you at Lowe's at some point, or what was the deal?
No. Well, let me. So I want to go back to Finish Line really quick and just kind of
Sure.
walk you through the journey, because like, I had an older brother, and he told me, when I worked at Finish Line, he played baseball, and he was kind of my idol a little bit. at times when he was nice to me, right? So, he used to say, "Are you going to be a sneaker store manager for the rest of your life?" And I'm like, "I don't know." It's like I like doing this, and then I was recruited actually by Best Buy, and so I ended up going over to work for Best Buy because I thought life would be much grander, right? Like I would, I was like, okay, I'm young. They're offering me all this money. It's great. Not realizing that I would be working 70, 80 hours a week, and and you would be making less than what you were making anyway, as if I was working a part-time job. So, but I had a great experience at Best Buy. Actually, a great company to work for, hands down. And really, at the end of my career with Best Buy, I had made the decision that I wanted to get out of retail just because I wasn't able to, enjoy the times with my family that they were that most, in my mind, that most people were able to enjoy that were outside of retail, right?
Sure.
Like, at Christmas times, we were always in the stores. I just remember when Best Buy decided that we were going to open on Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is even worse, right?
Yeah.
So, so I made the decision. I was like, this is my final year, and I'm going to, look for something else. And so a friend of mine was working at Lowe's.
Okay.
And so he goes, hey, you should come to Lowe's. At least it's retail a little bit still, but like it's a structured schedule. Like, they give you your schedule for the entire year. And I was like, oh, that's great. I can kind of plan around that and stuff. And but I realized even after going to Lowe's for the brief period of time that I was there, that it was still retail. And, I was still working 60, 70 hours a week. So
Wow.
I was like, I think that, it's time for me to just go back to school, and that's when I decided to hop online and go to Capella University and try to get my bachelor's degree. And I was like, if I just get this bachelor's degree in IT, I already know about all this stuff. I worked with electronics all my life. Like, this is going to be easy, so I started while I was at Lowe's. I started down my journey of going back to school, and I said once I finish school, I'll hop out. And then I got a call one day from one of our salespeople here at Livewire, who worked for me previously at Best Buy as a salesperson, and he said, "Hey, are you looking to do anything different?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm always looking," And he goes, "Well, we're looking for an operations manager here at Livewire." He was like, and if you're up to having a conversation with me and the owner, we would love to have you over for lunch one day. So I was like, great. When do you want to do it? He was like, how about today? So it's like, great.
Wow.
So I went and had lunch with him, and I knew after, just sitting with them, if we probably talked for about, hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe. I knew after meeting Henry and talking to, one of my former employees, like that, that Livewire is a great place to work. But I think I was even more excited about the industry itself. Like I missed working in Best Buy. I love electronics. And yeah, I've never been an installer a day in my life, right? But I still love, messing with electronics, taking them apart, doing all that good stuff. And I said, hey, this is a win-win situation for me, because now not only am I, getting back into the IT field, right? And you're working around electronics, but, I have the opportunity of a lifetime to work with a growing company to help them evolve to be, a great company, not, like I tell folks all the time, I was like, my goal was never to make, any company I work at a fun place to work. I just want to make it a great place to work, and so that's what I saw. I saw an opportunity to do that. And just, from there, the rest is history. I've been with Henry in Livewire for, going on 7 years now. So,
well, I think having that kind of clearer perspective coming into this industry probably was really beneficial. I mean, you had that retail background with Best Buy, but it's not custom integration, and you don't have those habits that I think form in this industry that you can come in and say, this is what it looks like from my perspective. And it was really cool that you said Henry gave you kind of the keys and said, create this thing. Like, that's very trusting. And that was kind of day one. He's just said, this is why I'm hiring you. You need to create some kind of a training path.
Yeah. Well, now, day one, he goes, hey, he hired me in, and he says, I need someone to like oversee, a couple departments in his company. And, I think he realized with probably in the first 90 days of, that I was capable of more.
Okay.
Right. And so that's where responsibilities start to shift for us. And that's really where the keys to the castle came into play.
Okay.
It's like, it was like, whatever you need to help, like, here you go. And for me, it was very, impactful, because I was just like, man, like at Best Buy, there was a lot of red tape. You couldn't go through or make decisions like that without, someone in the corporate, from the corporate structure coming down and saying, okay, let's test, try, do everything. Whereas Henry was like, his message, even on our welcome video, has always been, if you have an idea, if you think it's going to work, if it's going to benefit us as an organization, then you know what, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, I'm not always the smartest kid on the block, so I always surround myself with great people, right? So like any idea that I had, like, I would just write them all out and put them out on a whiteboard and just share them with people that were here. And, and we've just, turned this place into, a great company. If you watch the walkthrough video that we just, I think we posted on social media of the facility, we actually just did a remodel, and, we are, definitely a values-based company now. I say now, but we've always been. But when we talk about living the values, eat, drink, sleep, living the values, everything we do centers around our values, our core values, right? And so it was like awesome when we did the remodel. I was like, I want every value just painted on the wall and plastered everywhere. We would walk in and say, this is a great place to work, right? So yeah, I love it. So,
and you still retain your role as operations manager at Livewire while you do IntegrateU?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, part of my agreement to Henry was, I wanted to stay in the industry. I didn't want to just walk away from this. And, as business continues to grow, then, we'll see what that looks like in the future. But I'm able right now to juggle them both. And my wife thinks I'm crazy. Like she finds me sitting at the chair sometimes the next morning, still in my uniform, because I get off from Livewire and turn around and do IntegrateU stuff, right? But hey, I love it, and and as long as I'm having fun, and I'm super excited and can continue down this journey and this path. So,
well, that's great. Thanks, Dante. Really appreciate your time today. It's great getting to know you better and learning about more about Livewire and IntegrateU.
Thank you. It was great to meet you as well, and I'm truly excited for where we're going with this. So, thank you.
Dante Walston is co-founder and CEO of IntegrateU and operations manager at Livewire in Richmond, Virginia. You can learn more about IntegrateU at integrateletteru.net and Livewire at livewire.com. That wraps up today's show. If you're new to Residential Tech Talks, please subscribe to the weekly podcast on your favorite platform and consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Also, check out all the latest residential tech news at the magazine's website, restechtoday.com, where you can also subscribe to the bi-monthly print and digital magazine and to our Tuesday and Friday email newsletters. Until next time, please stay safe, stay inspired, and let us know if you have a great story to tell.
Residential Tech Talk, lighting specialist to residential tech.